Often the difference between a design executor and a strategic partner comes down to one thing. Who remembers the why behind the decisions? I learned this the hard way in an enterprise environment where I'm often switching context and jumping from one project to the next, and it can be really difficult to keep track of all the work you're doing at once. That's where I feel a design journal comes into play. And in this episode of The Real Work, we're breaking down what a design journal is and why you need one. This series is all about breaking down real problems that designers are facing in the age of AI. No hype, no selling, just practical conversations on how you can nurture your design thinking. In the last episode, we talked all about becoming more strategic in your thinking and your decision-making process. And in this episode, we're talking about a practical framework to help you track all of your growth. So picture this, you're in a meeting and someone pulls up your designs and turns to you saying, "Why did we decide to go this way?" And you have no idea what the reasoning was behind your work. I think a lot of designers get stuck here. You know you put a ton of work in, you know you were confident with your decision, you just can't remember why. The danger with this is that it can lead to a lot of rework, and worse, it can often undermine the respect and rapport you might have with your team. This is why capturing things is so crucial. So a couple years ago, I started to realize that my product team would often revisit old designs that we didn't go with. And whenever I'm tackling a ticket, I often just give myself the freedom to approach it 2, 3, 5, 10 different ways, because that allows me to just kind of get into the swing of things. And then usually I narrow it down to the top 1 or 2 options. We pick one, we build it out, and we hit publish. And that's a pretty standard process, I think, for a lot of people, where you kind of go through all the exploration, you pick one, and you run with it. But then a lot of people, and especially me at the time, would just delete all of that other work and continue on with the next thing. But after a while, I realized that my team would constantly go back and revisit some of these decisions, either just to give context to new team members and understand why we might have done something some way as we're adding on to it. For example, if we're adding a new button variation to our design system, we might want to pull up all of the designs and decisions we made from the last buttons designs that we had done. Being a design system manager, this is something that we get asked almost on a weekly basis. And while we do have documentation live for people to go review, that doesn't always capture the decision-making process of why we went with one thing over the other. Often our documentation is just showing the final product and not necessarily all the strategy and research that went into going with that specific option. So you can imagine this is pretty much a non-negotiable for a design system team, but this also translates to any product team. So I want to break down 5 different questions you can ask yourself when you're capturing this information. So the first question is, will we need to revisit this? And specifically, if we do, what would be the factor that would change things for us? So let's say you're rolling out a new redesign of your product dashboard. Ask yourself, what would have to change for us to ever have this conversation again? So it might be that conversion significantly drops after you hit publish on this redesign. Well, if that's the case, what are we doing now to anticipate that? If you can filter your designs through a future-proof lens, it'll help you capture the data now. And often, a lot of designers are doing this work anyway. That's obviously why we do user testing and user research, and we socialize our designs with our product teams. There's typically tons and tons of input. Well, the more input you're getting, the more you can capture. You don't have to capture every single thing, but just try and capture whatever would set you up for success in the long run. Number 2, what is the core problem we are solving? Often we might capture from a technical perspective, like we use this button because we have a lot of data on this specific thing or this specific pattern, but we might not often capture the entire user flow and the pain point that we're solving. That actually is a really core part of it, because often users' pain points will resurface and they'll overlap with other pain points in the future. So if you can try and capture the specific value you are delivering with the solution, that'll often include a lot of the context you'll need. Number 3, how do I preserve this work? Like I said, I often design multiple variations whenever I'm working, and to be honest, a lot of them are pretty crappy, so I throw them out the window. But whenever we get there, I found it's really helpful to just archive rather than delete those unused versions. So in Figma, for example, I'll just duplicate that whole frame or section, and I'll copy it to another page. And if that starts to build up, I'll even move that to a separate archived file that I can always revisit. No one else really looks at this file but me, but this has saved me hours and hours of work whenever this topic comes back up. Even if I'm just using it as a reference, I still have the visual there I can redesign from scratch and not just trying to remember whatever we talked about 6, 12 plus months ago. Question 4, and this is one of my favorite litmus test type questions, is what would someone new to the team need to know? If you are working in a big company, your projects might be switching hands quite often. I've had the benefit of being on some projects for 1, 2, even 3 years at a time, and others I'm on for 5 or 6 weeks, and then I hand it on to the next person. So wherever you find yourself in that mix, trying to capture whatever someone new to the team would need to know is a really good way to filter all the decisions and work being made. Whether it's you in the future looking at this, a completely new team member, or God forbid, a non-designer trying to analyze all of your design documentation, including the other context surrounding that specific feature, user flow, maybe the original ticket or request that came in that prompted this whole conversation, whatever you think is necessary to tell that story, just write it down. And finally, try and write down what connections am I making repeatedly. So this could be patterns, solutions, or even just inspiration you're seeing online. I often bookmark things on X or Medium, wherever I might find it, and I find myself coming back to it almost on a weekly basis. Sometimes you just need some inspiration to look back on, and that might be its only use. But if you're capturing enough things, you'll actually start to see some of the patterns emerge even across different products or even across different industries and companies. So constantly be looking for things you can capture, whether it's in a meeting or simply on a Teams chat and someone made a good point. Take a screenshot, put it somewhere, and you can come back to it later. One thing we'll talk about in a minute is that this documentation does not need to be perfect. Just capturing it is the thing, and you can figure out the format and make it look fancy later. But after a while, you'll probably start to see a lot of behaviors and user patterns start to emerge on your product or even across different products in your company. So maybe there's another designer in your company and they did something really cool that you think you could reuse. Make a note of that person, the product team, capture the link if you can, and then whenever you get the opportunity, you have that captured, you can go revisit it really easily. I can't tell you how many times I revisited these notes for myself, but I've also shared them with other designers in my company to help give them a head start, or at least just give them some inspiration. And you'll slowly start to become that go-to person on your team that kind of captures all these things and is always readily available. And again, this is what will give you that strategic edge as that go-to person who always has things organized. In terms of getting started, my recommendation is to start simple with whatever tool you have. If you're constantly working with Figma every single day, then just use that. You don't need to start up a whole new system or learn a whole new tool. Just start writing down some notes next to your design versions. It can be as simple as a bulleted list like this, or you can expand this out to actually capturing meeting notes and pasting them into Figma. Again, whatever information you think is helpful in the place you're actually going to find it and look at it, that's what will actually work in the long run. When I first started this, I was really into using Notion, so I could actually set up templates there that had all of these questions and prompts. So every time I hit new, I always had that certain template ready for me to go. But you could also do this in something like a Word doc or a Google Doc. I've included a free template down below you can check out. It actually has 2 different variations. The first is kind of an all-in-one design journal approach. So if you just want one single document you reference for absolutely everything, then you can just do this in this template. It includes all the questions we just discussed, as well as the specific decisions and a change log, so you can actually track that project over time. If you prefer more of an atomic note-taking system, I've included a second variation that is for specific decisions. So each time you make a new decision or start a new project, you give that project a dedicated document. Then you can use variation B. This is a little lighter weight, keeps it a little more concise. So if you don't want to scroll, either way, both are included there for free and you can check those out. Now, this might sound like a ton of work to you and you might be thinking, I have zero capacity to take this on. I would argue you have zero capacity not to take it on. This is absolutely something that can set you up for success. It can be as simple and lightweight as you need it, but I guarantee you if you're not writing some of this stuff down, it's going to be impossible to keep it all straight in your head, and people will just stop relying on you altogether. This isn't just about saving time with your design work. This is also about helping you get a leg up and get momentum as a strategic leader. This will be a power shift as you become the person with institutional knowledge. The more you can start to back up previous decisions, people will start letting you make the current decisions and start to rely on you in the long run. If you want to get started, pick one decision and document it using these questions. You can revisit it the next week, pick a new decision, and just keep going from there. That's been it for this episode of The Real Work. I hope it was helpful, and let me know how you're capturing and documenting your design journey below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.